God told Moses, "Send men to scout out the land of Canaan. I am giving this land to the Israelites." Moses sent out one leader from each family tribe. He told the men what to do. Go see what the land is like and whether the people who live there are strong or weak, few or many. Moses had a lot of questions. Is the land good or bad? Are the cities they live in camps or forts? Is the land good for farming? Are there any trees? Moses said, "Be courageous." So the men went and scouted out the land. They traveled around the land for 40 days. They cut down a cluster of grapes in the valley and carried it on a pole. Then they went back to Moses, Aaron, and the Israelite community to tell them what they saw. "The land is good. It is flowing with milk and honey," they said. "But the people living in the land are strong, and the cities they live in are large and well protected." Then Caleb, one of the spies, said, "We must go up and take possession of the land. We can certainly conquer it with God's help." But the other men disagreed. "The people are stronger than we are. We look like grasshoppers compared to them." The Israelites were afraid and they cried all night. They thought Moses and Aaron had brought them to Canaan to die. The Israelites said, "Let's appoint a new leader and go back to Egypt." Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before the Israelites. Joshua and Caleb, who had both scouted out the land, tore their clothes and said to the Israelites, "The land is extremely good. If the Lord is pleased with us, he will give it to us. Don't be afraid of the people living in the land. God is with us." The Lord spoke to Moses, "How long will these people despise me? How long will they not trust me?" God threatened to destroy all the people, but Moses said, "Please forgive the wrongdoing of the people. I know you are great, faithful, and loving." God replied, "Since you have asked, I will forgive them. But none of them who despise me will live to see the promised land of Canaan." Since Caleb and Joshua had followed God completely, God would let them enter the promised land. God said that the Israelites who did not trust God would face consequences for their sin. They would wander in the wilderness 40 years, and they would not enter the promised land. All of the spies who went to scout out the land died, except for Joshua and Caleb. Caleb and Joshua trusted God. God planned for Joshua to lead the next generation of Israelites into the promised land. Joshua was not perfect, but his faithfulness reminds us of Jesus, who is perfect. Jesus obeyed the Father and trusted his plan to save people from their sins.
We've just heard the story of the spies going into the promised land to see what it was like. And that story took place over 40 years after the story we had last week when God was calling Moses to lead the people. Do you remember today's story? The 12 spies were sent out to see what the land that God was going to give them looked like. It was a good and fruitful place, although the people in it were a bit fierce, weren't they? Joshua and Caleb were the only spies to see the difficulties, and yet they knew that God was bigger and more powerful than anyone or anything they had seen. They knew that they could trust him. God has good things for us too, and he asks us to be like Joshua and Caleb and trust him, whatever the difficulties. Now, I wonder if you can remember what the spies brought back from the land. It was something that was so big they had to carry it on a pole. Do you remember? It was a big bunch of grapes. So I thought, there's only one thing we can make, and that's a big bunch of grapes. So today, what we need is a stick, which you might be able to find in the park or in the garden. We need a milk bottle top, some purple paper and a piece of white paper, a piece of string, And then the usual things like scissors and a pen and glue, and also a hole punch. Now, the first thing is to take the paper and in one corner to draw around the milk bottle top. All right, just like that. And actually, if you cut a strip of paper all the way down, like this, then where you've drawn the milk around the milk bottle tops, you can fold the paper so you can cut out more than one circle at once, which makes it a little bit quicker. So we want to cut out lots of circles for grapes. And then, once we've done that, we take the white piece of paper, and starting at the bottom, we're going to glue the grapes onto the white piece of paper. So you start with one at the bottom, and then two, and then three, and then you could even do four, and then a little bit smaller again, until you get something that looks a bit like this. This is my bunch of grapes. And when you've got this, you then take your scissors and cut around so that all the extra white paper we don't need. So we've got something like that. And then now we've got to tie it to the stick. So we need a hole at the top. So this is where the hole punch comes in. And we put a hole at the top and put the string through. And then we can tie it to the stick. And there is our big bunch of grapes on the stick, to remind us of the good things that God has for us. And now, because we were thinking about how big and powerful God is, we're going to sing, "Our God is a great big God." Let's join in with the actions.